My name is Dylan Ward. I am a recording engineer, music producer, musician, originally from Ilground First Nation near Miramichi. Currently live in Fredericton, where I operate a recording studio called Shiftwork Recording. Sure. So I moved to Fredericton to attend a recording school called the Center for Arts and Technology back in 2011. And then I graduated that. It was an 18-month course. Then for a few years, just kind of worked as a live sound engineer at the Capitol Complex. I still work there, which is great, crazy. And had been recording kind of off and on, always kind of doing it, but never having my own space until about 2018, 2019, when I came into this room. And I was one of many people who were in this room. I was sharing the space with a lot of different artists. And then during my time here, it has now just become myself and my kind of studio mate, Stefan Westner, who runs a screen printing shop. But I've just been building it ever since then, taking up more space here, and now it's pretty well a full-fledged recording studio. Sure. Yeah. So COVID definitely impacted the studio in a lot of different ways. I guess I'll kind of start where when I was about to launch the studio, I took this business course called JEDI. Their JEDI Incubator program, and it's basically a program designed to help out indigenous entrepreneurs. And it's like a 10-week program. I did that, kind of got some business skills and stuff, launched the studio, and then the pandemic hit literally like a week later, sort of thing. So, but a part of that plan was trying to incorporate a lot of those community events as well. So I wanted the studio to be, like a for-profit business sort of thing, where I'm getting bands in and recording them and making albums and doing my craft, but then also kind of giving back to the community. So a big part of it was I really wanted to put on professional development events where we work with Music New Brunswick, working with them, working with festivals, which is what we did with Shivering Songs. Kind of like the month before, we collaborated with them and put on a workshop, as well as doing creative development workshops, which was I was really, really excited for, where we have so much talent and so much knowledge in all these different aspects of music within the city. We have so many talented people, and I wanted them to kind of share their knowledge with the rest of artists around here. So, we have somebody who is playing guitar for their entire life and knows so many things about playing guitar, and then getting them to teach other musicians here in town, here at the studio. So, it keeps everybody engaged, and I like calling it creative development, because I want people to learn something and then go home and take what they've learned and incorporate that into their music, right? So, but it never really came to be, because there was the pandemic, and it never really happened. And it's still something that I really want to do, but it just has to kind of take a seat in the back burner here for a little bit. So that's why kind of the vision of the studio was impacted. But in terms of what else it did impact was just trying to operate here and really operating in and out of the restrictions, which has been really tough. So, I've just have been dealing with it last week, where we were in a level 3 restriction here in New Brunswick. So I couldn't have anybody else in here. I could operate in here. So luckily I still came here every day, and I still had things to work on, but all of my sessions that I had to cancel them. And thankfully it was only for 2 weeks, but still that puts like a lot of backlog for me. So now I'm trying to fill those people in, into February, but I've already had other people booked, and it's like, it can really, it can put these artists on a month-long wait that they never anticipated, or 2 months or 3 months, right? And when you're working on an album, to do it right, like you have to plan so far ahead. So if something kind of gets pushed, then maybe your release date gets pushed, but then that venue that you wanted to be at already has the other dates around it booked, right? So it can be a really big snowball effect, which is a real shame. But again, thankfully, it was only 2 weeks, and we're managing for sure, and everything's working out. But and then the other side of it too is during the pandemic, a lot of bands just fizzled out because they couldn't stay active, and they had to go concentrate on other things. I know like people's employment status and stuff were changing, so it's like I can't concentrate on music if I don't have a job or I don't know what's going on. And being creative and giving yourself that space and that time to be creative is already hard enough in day-to-day stuff. But when your whole routine and a bunch of your life just goes upside down, it's really hard to stay creative, right? So, I mean, then there is the other side of it where some people found a lot of creativity in the time where they couldn't do anything else. But that doesn't really apply to everybody, right? It's, everybody handles this whole thing different. But I've seen for sure a decrease in the amount of acts and bands that were around pre-pandemic. Well, if you want to have a business and, or be an artist, where you are, being an artist is being a business, right? It's just thinking of yourself as a business. The biggest thing is starting. Starting is the hardest part. And trying to figure out, what your thing is, and I basically think of it as like, what's your story, right? So if you're an artist, what's your story as an artist? If you run a business, what is the story of your business? Like, how are you presenting yourself to the world? Like, what is it about you or your thing that you want to tell people? And it's kind of a hard thing to make tangible, but I think the most important thing is just to do it. And if you just start it, you'll figure it out along the way, sort of thing. It doesn't matter if you don't really know what you're doing, as long as you're just doing it. And this is kind of circling back to the routine thing. If you make it a routine where you are working on your craft, if you're working on your business, and then you are actively trying to tell your story to the world, whether that's, being online, something easy, just making a Facebook account or a Facebook page or Instagram page, or, get on TikTok or whatever. You think anybody on TikTok ever thought they were going to be like, wake up and have like millions of clicks or whatever, right? So they just did it, right? Just people are just doing things. And I think if you just get comfortable with the fact of putting yourself out there and being okay with not really knowing what you're doing, but you're doing it anyways, and as long as you're actively doing it and then actively trying to build on what you've done, I think in a year's time you'll look back and you'll be amazed at how far you've gone, right? So I guess sticking on the business side here at Shiftwork, it's just kind of doing the same thing but more of it, which this year has already started off so well. I've booked more sessions in January and February than I've had any other January or February before, which is amazing. And have lots of people coming in excited. I know how I'm going to grow my business too. I really want to acquire some more equipment that helps me do everything in a better and faster, and for me, like, I want to put out a better product whenever people are coming here, and doing lots more of outreach for the business as well, being online more, marketing myself that way. Personally, in my creative life as an artist, this is going to be a big year for us and my band Marian. We're coming out with our first debut album that was recorded here like 2 summers ago, which is crazy, which COVID had totally derailed that project by a lot. So, but the album's coming out. We worked with Joel Plaskett at his studio in Halifax to mix the record. Spent a few days down there mixing it. He was awesome, and really just was so exciting to work with him. And it's sounding great. We're all really loving it. It's almost finished now, and we're going to release it probably at the end of April. And we're going to do a little bit of touring in the summer as much as we can with whatever kind of happens, and playing festivals. We got a couple of festival slots already. I can't tell anybody any of them, but it is exciting. So I think it's going to be a really fun big year for us, and we're gonna take it all on for sure. So if you want to follow my journey here at Shiftwork Recording, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Shiftwork Recording.